All right, my friends. I'm super excited to be talking to this guy today. He is a popular content creator here on TikTok, and you've most likely seen his face and or done his dance. You've most likely seen him or heard from him or seen his dance. Very popular guy, OG underscore Goliath, Mr. Goliath. Justin Johnson, known as Goliath here on TikTok and on Instagram. He's also a life coach. That's something that not a lot of people no, and in his life coaching focuses on limiting beliefs, anxiety, depression, motivation, finding your purpose, success, self love, accountability, control, all that stuff. He is the life coach about. And today we're going to be talking specifically about black men and mental health. So I'm going to bring him in here. We're going to get rolling with this because I'm stoked. I'm stoked. What's up, my guy? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I can hear you. Hold on, my video is not up.
It's all
Let
good,
me.
my friend. It's all good.
Yep, got it. Boom.
There we
There we go.
go. There
All
we
right.
go. What's up, player? How
Hold
are
on.
you?
Does it look a little crazy? Hold on. It looks a little crazy. I might. Wait, hold on. Give me 1 second. Let me wipe the joint off.
Oh,
Make
you
sure it
know what?
doesn't
I
look
have to
all
do that.
crazy
I
for
have
you.
to do that all the time. Whenever I pull my phone out and I know that I have to do, I always have to like wipe it down. I always like grab my shirt and just like wipe down
Yeah,
the screen.
for
It's
real.
so
And just get a
horrible.
little quick, get a little quick wipe
I
down right
got
quick.
you,
There we
man.
go. That's better.
What's up, man? What's going
How you
on?
doing?
I'm
How
doing
you
all right. I'm
doing?
super excited to be talking with you today. I one of the funniest things because I before everything kind of got organized for this. I had seen you nonstop on
Yeah.
on TikTok. You and your dance that that became like a worldwide sensation of a
Yes.
dance.
It's really weird.
What was that like when you realized? Like, when did you realize that your dance on TikTok is now officially like a thing around the world? When did you know?
Um. Okay, so it's weird because like a little history on it is
Yeah,
it's okay. So in the early 90s, there was a dance that came out that everybody was doing. Um, and it was like the little bob thing that like all the
yeah,
rappers did.
yeah,
I didn't know how to do that. And I was like, I was born in 84, so I was like 6 or 7 years old, and I
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
understand how to do it. So that was my like iteration of that dance.
Hmm.
And it
Hmm.
just kind of stuck. And I would just kind of do it as I was growing up and I got older. And then I just like one day I was on TikTok and I was going through some like really rough emotional things. And then I
Hmm.
said, I'm going to dance until I smile. I'm
Oh
going to
man,
just continue to dance
yeah.
until I smile or something is better. And and that's what I did. And then like the first video I posted, it kind of got some love. And then the
Hmm.
first day I was like, oh wow, this is going well. And then the second day it started going amazing. And I was like, oh wow, okay. This might be a little
And
something.
it just kept going and going and going, kind of like a
And it
big
just
snowfall.
yeah, and I just kind of doubled down on it and I was like, I'm just
Yeah.
gonna continue to do it. I'm gonna do it more. I'm gonna do it more.
Mhm.
And it just worked out.
It's crazy how like sometimes the things that we don't really think much about, like we'll just kind of do it.
Yeah,
It's crazy how things will just kind of like just take off, and it'll just like
yeah.
people will vibe with it. Because there's been a couple times when I'll make legit probably the dumbest thing that you've ever heard or seen in your entire life, right? And
Yes.
I'll film it in like 30 seconds. And I'll post it up and I'll go to work, whatever. And I come home, it's like 1.5 million views. I'm like, wait, why?
Yes.
But why?
Yes. It's like what happened there? Like all this planned content I do, I put
Right.
this effort and time into it, and then I
Yeah.
get up and I just start wiggling, and that turns into the thing. It's like,
I'm not gonna lie.
what are we doing?
Your dance though, I wish I could do it. I've tried it because a lot of my colleagues, a lot of my content creator friends have done it and they're very good at it. I've tried it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm awful. I am so god awful at that dance. I've tried. I was even practicing today, my guy. I was practicing today because I was like, I'm gonna do this dance for him in front of him. I'm not gonna embarrass
Yes.
myself. I'm not gonna embarrass myself.
It's all good. It's look. My fiance was like, I can't do it. Just I cannot do it, and I was like, try again. And she kept trying, and then now she's
Yeah.
killing it. Now she'll take the whole video.
Yeah.
where it's me and her, and they'll be like, "Oh no, this is her page now," and I'm like, "Okay, I get
It's like I'm in charge now. I'm the captain now.
it.
Oh
Exactly."
man, I love it. I love, man. It's always great to see Black creators on this app, succeed and use their platform to not only entertain but to spread awareness and to just have these important conversations that a lot of us are honestly afraid to have, and that's what you and I
Yeah,
are here to talk about today, which is the stigma behind mental health and that conversation when it comes to Black men and the
yes,
Black community. And I'll tell you this, I say this to people sometimes just to kind of give some context. When I was growing up, the main people that I looked up to in my life were athletes, hip hop artists, and my dad. Right,
okay,
none of whom were talking about mental health. There wasn't like
yes,
none of my basketball coaches were talking about it. Nobody on my football team, baseball, none of my teachers were talking about mental health.
yeah,
So growing up, this it was all like it wasn't a thing to me, and I was always like, I guess inadvertently taught that I just need to be tougher. I need to toughen up, right? I
yes,
need to I need to if I'm feeling sad, it's like no, no, you're not allowed to feel sad. You got to man up. You got to man up.
yes.
And I went my entire life with that. And now I'm 35 now. I was 34 years old when I was diagnosed with high functioning anxiety and severe depression, and I was 35 when I was diagnosed with ADHD. And let me tell you, those diagnoses opened my eyes to a lot of things. And I know for you, you get to have these conversations with people and all of that. So I'm curious. Tell me your story and why talking about mental health specifically when it comes to Black men, how and why that's so important to you.
Um, okay, so I would say the biggest point that I could start from is it saved my life.
Mm,
I'm from California. I'm from
mhm,
Los Angeles County. It's a little north of not Los Angeles City,
mhm,
in the Palmdale, Lancaster area. And where I grew up, it's a very rough area. And more than it just being a rough area, there was no opportunity. There's nothing to do
mhm,
there. So more often than not, we just got into trouble. That's what we
mhm,
did. We just got into trouble. So gangs and violence and fighting and all that type of stuff was just stuff that we did because we didn't have anything else to do. Like we had
mhm,
one shopping mall, like big regular shopping mall, and like a probably 80 square mile radius. Like it's
mhm.
incredible. It would be equivalent to having one mall in like all of Atlanta.
Oh, wow.
So
Yeah.
it's ridiculous. So we
Yeah.
just had a mall and a bunch and houses and
Mhm.
parks, you know what I mean? So there was
Yeah.
really nothing to do. There's nothing to get into. So we just got into trouble. So what I recognized when I moved from there when I was 27, and what I recognized is, um, you know, I was angry, and I was
Mhm.
angry for a multitude of reasons. And I was always I was shown, not even just told, but I was shown that we only had two emotions, right? We could either be angry or we could
Mhm.
be angry. Right?
Yep.
It's not even
Yep.
like we could be angry or happy.
Yes.
Like happy was not
Mhm.
acceptable. We could be
Right. Right.
angry. We could be frustrated. We could be anything that like leads us to being in a position of saying that something is wrong, right?
Mm,
And um, and I recognize that within myself, and then I recognize that the person I was being was reflective off of experiences that kind of led me to being angry and frustrated when I'm really a positive, happy, like happy go lucky type of person. That's who I
right.
really am.
Right.
But I was led to that world by my circumstances and by my environment, and then realizing that that wasn't working for me. It kind of led me down a path of self discovery, and that path ended me at this point.
Right. Was there a specific point that you can remember when you realized, like, man, I need to make a change, like right now, or I'm not going to survive? Was there a specific moment, or I guess a series of events, or a time period that stands out to you that made you realize that you had to make a move?
Um, I would say, I went through a lot of hard times with me and my ex-wife. Me
Mm.
and my ex-wife, we had a very tough relationship, and she's no longer with us. But through
I'm sorry to hear that.
that, yeah, no problem. I appreciate it. But through those circumstances, I recognized kind of ruining, being a part of ruining my family dynamic.
Mm.
And then I got into another relationship, and we were moving along, and we had a child together. And then I recognized myself in the same pattern. Recognize
Mm.
myself ruining the next relationship. I
Right.
recognize that, and
Mm.
that was a turning point for me where it was like, I don't want my sons to grow up without their mother, or I have to come visit them on the weekends, and I didn't want that. So it was important for me at that point in my life, which is probably about what 3 years now, three
Right.
years ago now, to really start moving in the right direction so that I can be a positive influence, especially having two young boys.
Right.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Right.
I couldn't stomach that. No, I lost you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, sorry. I don't know why everybody's trying to call me today. Nobody ever calls me in the at this at this time
Right,
of night, and now all of a
right.
sudden people are just calling me.
Not until you have something to do.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So I apologize about that. So it's for some reason. I mean, I guess we know the reason, but there is this stigma surrounding Black
Yeah.
men and really opening up about their mental health, right?
Yes.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think that Black men are just not privy to having that vulnerability?
Easy answer. Vulnerability has been synonymous with weakness in the Black community.
Mm.
And this is probably the first generation of Black men that can avidly express a type of vulnerability that doesn't put them in danger.
Mm.
So, like my father's generation, our father's generations, they could not be vulnerable. Being vulnerable was very dangerous for them.
Mm.
So they didn't have that ability. They had to have this strong armor. They were just coming out of um, the Black Panthers and a certain level of liberation. And
Right.
you could not, after that, then turn around and say, okay, I'm going to be vulnerable. I'm going to show emotion. I'm going to cry. I'm going to do those type of things. Those things were not things that led them to success in the period and time that they grew up with in
Because it was
the
viewed as
70s and the
as
80s.
weakness, right? Like it was kind of like a weakness.
Yes,
You can't let other people see your weakness because they'll try to exploit
exactly.
it or take advantage of it, and you'll end up dying. You'll end up not moving your life to where you want it to be.
Exactly. So that
Mm.
vulnerability was not possible in that time. And because of the way that they had to endure things, and because of the um, time that they put into building themselves up a certain way, they opened the door to allow us now
Mm.
to be able to um, exist in a certain level of vulnerability that now we can pass down a safer lifestyle for our kids.
Right, right. It's scary, isn't it? It's so
Yeah.
scary that like we have to find a way to, I guess, find that balance because I feel like as Black men there are like this very specific expectation that people have of us, an expectation that we often try to meet, right? We try to meet that
Yes.
expectation, but we also would love to just be open and vulnerable with somebody, but we feel like if we do that we don't meet that expectation that society has of us. And society aside, what about the Black community, like on its own? How much influence does the Black community have on Black men and their mental health? Like how much of an impact do you think that has on a daily basis?
I think that we were taught to hide. I
Mm.
think we've been taught to hide. We've been taught to hide how we
Mm.
feel. We've been taught to hide what we really think. We've been taught to hide how we express. We've been taught to hide. And now, like, there's the
Mm,
great awakening that's happening now is really just a teaching of being yourself. Like,
mm,
really, everything that is happening is just us getting to a world and an understanding of time of us being ourselves and not being
mhm.
what everybody else has built us to have to think that we have to be. I'm a 6'5", 240 pound black man. You know what I
So you're
mean? If
small.
there's
You're saying that you're small is what you're saying.
exactly,
Yeah.
I'm tiny. So if there's any man, so if there's any man out there that has to uphold this level of toughness and strength and
Mhm,
whatever, it's our bigger men. You
mm,
know what I mean? It's like I
mhm,
I'm Goliath, right? So
mhm,
Goliath can't. Goliath
mhm,
can't. And
mhm,
and I've always been a leader in my community, even back home. You know, even streetwise, I've always been a leader in my community, and
mhm,
because of that, um, I've had to step into roles and be somebody that wasn't genuine to who I really was. And now that I have this platform the way that I do, then it gives me the opportunity to be a different version of what people would expect from a guy like me.
mhm.
You know what I mean?
How
I
did
want to be.
how did you get the name Goliath? Is it because of your stature?
Yes, actually, I'm a crump dancer. So I've been crump dancing
Oh,
since I was 17. I was a part of the Crump Kings. We did a lot of traveling, the movie
what?
Rise, all of that
That's
stuff.
a flex,
So
man. That is a flex.
it's like, don't worry about it. It's like, so,
You're like, oh, this
so,
whole thing. What are you talking
you know what I'm saying? The crump, who even does that? Do we still do that? Yeah, well, I do. So,
about?
um, I was a
That's
Crump King,
hilarious.
and my
Yeah,
name was
yeah.
Jay Boom. And
Mm.
and then I went down to the guy that created Crump, that we used to battle all the time, and he was like, nah, you're gonna be a part of Crump Kings. We got to change the name. And we're all in a, everybody's in a room. It's like 40 of us in this little living room in the middle of LA. And then a friend of mine goes, Goliath, Goliath the boss. And everybody was like, oh, and I was like, yeah, okay. And then I went and got a tattoo down my arm, and my parents thought I was crazy, but it is what it is.
That's incredible. Like it's funny how like those types of things can just stick with you for the rest of your life, and you end up,
Yeah,
I guess, in a way, building your entire persona around something so like so simple but
yeah,
so unique and so strong and what you have. And it's I feel like one of the biggest things, because you're a coach, right? So you're able, so
yes,
you actually get to work with people to talk
yes.
about their mental health, their life, their self care, their confidence, all that type of stuff. And let's be real, it's not often that we see black men step up and do what you're doing, right? There's not many black men that are even using this platform to talk about mental health, let alone coach it, right? Is there anything that you've learned as a coach that you feel is just really important for just yourself, something that you've been able to take from all of the people that you get to work with? Is there anything that you've learned that you kind of apply to your own life as you're coaching other people?
I
I
would
come with the hard hitting
say,
questions, my friends. I come with the hard hitting
yeah, I
questions.
like it. I like it. I like it. I would say that I think all the answers are inside of us.
Mm,
I think that we're so ready to ask for something outside of us
mhm,
to find what we need. And the more I lean into who I am and my identity and the way that I feel and the way that I think, the harder I lean into my personal purpose, the easier my life becomes.
mhm,
Like it literally
mhm.
just gets easier and
Actually,
easier the more I lean into myself.
yeah, it's funny how sometimes we just avoid that, right? That kind of self awareness, that self reflection. And I know for me,
Yeah,
I've learned so much just by, to your point, just looking within myself. There's been a lot of things
yeah,
that I would take in and I would just suppress it. I would push it
yeah,
down and push it down and push it down, and it would just sit there untouched,
yeah,
unacknowledged. And then I would often be looking out for the answers. Like, what is wrong with me? What is going on? And it wasn't until fairly recently when I was told, just like you said just now, it's in here.
Yeah.
It's there. You need
Yeah.
to be able to self-reflect and not be afraid to look at some of the points in your life when you were scared or angry or sad or upset or happy. You know,
Yeah.
it's hard to look within ourselves because that shit's scary.
Yes.
It's so
Well, look,
scary.
the thing that I always say, I say to all of my clients all the time, I say to everybody, the hardest fight that you're ever going to fight is a fight with yourself.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
There's no bigger battle than the battle with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But with that being said, the next point that I always try to say is I try to make myself accountable for everything,
Mm-hmm.
because the only way that I can change anything is by being accountable to it. I
Yes.
cannot change anything in my life without claiming some sort of accountability,
Right.
right? So if I
Mm-hmm.
can claim accountability for who I am and where I am and how I've gotten here, good, bad, or indifferent, then
Mm-hmm.
that makes it easier for me to lean into myself, understand myself, grow, and fight that fight with myself to kind of push myself in the right direction. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? But it's
Mm-hmm.
about taking that accountability piece first. And, you know, being a black man in America, it's easy to blame everybody else for everything that's going on. That's the easiest thing
Mm-hmm.
in the world to do. The hard thing is to
Mm-hmm.
say, yeah, that is wrong, but what am I doing? And what can I
Mm-hmm.
do better? What can I do better?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's the piece.
Mm-hmm. That is, it's really funny that you say that because if there's one thing that I've definitely been doing over the last month, I would say, is just that. Is just kind of looking at things and being like, okay, what can I do to be better? Because I was in a relationship and that ended, right? So instead of placing the blame or instead of saying, oh, this person did this and I was, blah, 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 I'm like, you know what? No, it's not a healthy way for me to look at it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at it from here and say, okay, what can I learn from this? What can I do to apply to the future to make me better, right? And that's been hard to do, but let me tell you, it's been so worth it. It's been the best thing that I've done so far, and I feel fortunate that I've been able to do that because I've learned so much. I feel like the blinders have been taken away from my face, and I'm able to just kind of accept a lot
Yeah.
more than I thought I would. And I have this calm. I have like this calm about me that I haven't had in so long, and I still have a long ways to go. But man, I feel good. I feel really, really good. My friends, I'm sitting here right now with Goliath,
Yeah.
OG underscore Goliath, and we're talking all about mental health and Black men, which is a very important topic for us to be talking about because it's not something that is talked about a lot, and we're talking about it today. My friends, if you're not following him already, make sure you
Yeah.
go do that. We're about halfway through our interview right now. And then we're going to resume in a couple seconds. But real quick, just so you know, if you came in halfway through and you're like, hey, wait, I want to watch the whole thing and I missed it, you can. All you have to do is go click the link in my bio. You're going to see my Patreon. Click on the Patreon. You're going to see all of the live stream interviews that I've done in the past. And you'll get all the live stream videos that I'm going to do in the future. It's only $1 a month. That's it. $1 a month. And you'll get access to all of that stuff. And it's a lot of fun. So, my friends, I'm sitting here with OG underscore Goliath, Mr. Goliath himself. Um, I wanted to bring up mental health resources in the Black community. Do you think there's enough?
Okay. There are resources problem.
Mm-hmm.
We need resources for us by us.
Mm-hmm.
So there are resources for us, but we need those resources to be by us as well. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
give an example about that. My son has struggled in fifth grade. It's always been hard for him to be behaved, very respectful, never have an issue with any behavioral things at all, right? But he's always struggled. And the best year that he's had this year, his fifth grade year. And this is the hardest year in elementary, right? But his been his best year. Here's the difference. Different to all black women.
Mhm.
That's it. It's the way that we communicate with us. It's the way that we communicate with sons. Fathers communicate with sons and daughters. The way that we communicate with us is just a different way. We understand it on a different level. So the problems change because you are looking at somebody that could be your child or your nephew or something like that. Just a little differently. Just to say that,
Right. Goliath,
we
you might be
can't
breaking.
by any,
You're
we
breaking up a
definitely
little bit.
can.
You're up. It's very spotty. It's like
Okay,
it's kind of
hold
like
on.
going in and out. So if you need to
Okay, hold on.
hop back in, you totally can. Oh, there you go.
Let me
I
see
see
if,
you. Now we're good. I
yeah,
think so.
yeah. I had to move
There
over.
you
I just had
go.
a shift. Uh, um,
It's all good. It's all good.
so I was saying that,
If you don't mind starting from the kind of the top there, because I know you were saying some really good things. You were saying that in the communities, the mental health resources should be for us by us, and that's kind of where it started to get a little choppy. So if you don't mind starting from that
yes,
point, that'd be great.
no problem. We need to, so the example that I used my son. So my son is in fifth grade, and fifth grade is the hardest year of elementary, and
Mm-hmm.
he struggled with school throughout his whole elementary career. He's always struggled with school. This year it's been his best year in school in the hardest year of elementary, fifth grade,
Mm-hmm.
and I liken that to the fact that he has three teachers, and all three of them are black women,
That's amazing.
and it's just the way that black women and black men communicate with black kids.
Mm.
So it's not
It's
that
different.
other
Mm-hmm.
people can't help us.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that other people don't have resources and support and stuff. They do. But the way that we connect with our kids, and my son has never had a behavioral issue. He's never been sent
Mm-hmm.
home. He's never, he doesn't even, we don't even get calls behind him behaviorally ever. And this has
Mm-hmm.
been his best year. And he struggled every single year. And I can only liken that to the relatability between him and his teachers.
Right.
And I struggled throughout school. Struggled throughout school, and I never had teachers that looked like me. And I think that in our community, although the support is great from everyone, I appreciate it. I think that we need to make sure that we put more support from us to
Mm-hmm.
us.
You want to know something crazy? And I realized this a couple years ago when I was talking to a teacher, a black teacher, and he had asked me a very interesting question. He asked me, he's like, "How many, when you were growing up, starting from preschool all the way up through college, how many black teachers did you have?" And I'm like, "Oh, I definitely I definitely had to have a black teacher." And I'm like going through it in my head. I'm going year by year by year, and I realized I did not have a teacher of color until my sophomore year of college. My sophomore year of college. Up until that point, from
Yeah,
preschool all the way up to that point, I had never ever had a teacher of color in my life in all the schools that I went to.
yeah,
It blew my mind.
yeah,
And it never clicked for me
yeah,
until he pointed it out. And to your point, it's like, man, what if I did? Would that have would it have changed
yes,
anything? Would it have, would I connected more with some of the schoolwork, perhaps, whatever it may be. Um, yeah, I'm glad that your son gets to experience that because I feel like a lot of us didn't really have
yeah.
that.
Yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
that's me and my two things, two quick points. Me and my fiance did couples therapy, and it was a black woman. And it being a black
Wow.
woman, just you can just
Mm-hmm.
talk. They will just communicate with you differently. They
Mm-hmm.
will check her or they will check you as the
Mm-hmm.
man is just like, hey, no, 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 come on now.
Right.
Come on.
Right.
You're not
Right.
gonna stop playing that game. It's like it's just a different way of communicating, right?
Right.
And
Right.
and we
Mm-hmm.
understand it and we're not offended by it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that
Mm-hmm.
that's important for us to understand that the resources of people that have the same life experience as us. can really help us get through things in a different way.
Hmm.
And I don't know any other male coaches, black men that are coaching,
There's not
and
many. There's very
not
few.
in real life.
Hmm.
Social media, I see a few, but
Hmm.
in like my regular life, I never see that. And
Hmm.
it's the way that I can communicate with somebody that I can recognize their life experience because we grew up the same way. We grew
Right.
up with the same type of issues, the same type of problems. Then I
Hmm.
communicate with them and they're like, "Oh my God." When the running joke with my clients is once you start working with me, they're like, well, I just gotta keep you for life. Like I need this 1 week check in
Right.
every week, and my clients like my main clients have been with me for like 2 years.
Right.
It's like they're with me forever, and it's like, look, just fit me in when you have time, but it's just because of my understanding of their experience, I'm able to communicate with them in a different way.
Right. Right. Do you feel that the black community has, I guess, a general mistrust about about the mental health system or just healthcare in general, given the issues that a lot of us have had, given the treatment of Black people in in the healthcare system, amongst many other things. Do you find that there's like a general mistrust in the Black community to these mental health resources?
100%.
Mm-hmm.
And the the messed up part about it is it's valid.
Mm-hmm.
It's valid. That's the cold part about it is it's valid. I mean, we are literally on the this is a whole new way of viewing things.
Mm-hmm.
Mental health was not a thing even 5 years ago.
Right.
In the black community, mental health wasn't a thing like 2 years ago. Like
Yeah.
these are very new ideas and new things that we're looking at. And I really think that the Great Awakening, as I like to call it, which was the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
I think that it just changed the dynamic of what people found important. And
Right.
because of that change, people have looked internally and they're like, look, I got to figure out me. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if my life isn't good, it probably has something to do with the way that I carry on in my life,
Mm-hmm.
but that's just a hard realization. It'll break you down.
Right. Right. The other side that I hear from it is not even just the mistrust, but the affordability, right? There's a lot of times that I'll be talking with people, and they'll be like, "Yo, Kai, I want to get help. I want to have these tools and these medicines and these therapists and these psychologists and psychiatrists. I want to get help, but I can't afford it. I can't afford it. What do you say? What are your thoughts on that? The general affordability of getting proper mental health care.
Okay, so I think affordability and I don't want to rub people the wrong way, but we got to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Affordability has a lot to do with priority.
Mm.
And
Mm.
as Black people, we prioritize being consumers. We've
Ooh.
prioritized being consumers for a very long time. And
Yeah.
we've been programmed to do that. So, but the way that I am is the only thing I can do is take accountability for where I am. I don't need to blame anybody else for where I am because that doesn't help me get where I need to go. So the problem is we have to take away from our consumerism just a little bit to
Yeah.
implant into our growth so that we can own the things that we're doing, right? Like
Right.
here in Atlanta, they have something called the New Black Wall Street Market. And it's a whole Black owned business that has a bunch of smaller businesses that are in there. And
Mm-hmm.
people are taking their money and they're inputting it back into themselves So then
Hmm.
they can become better and stronger. And then now they can run a business. They can truly run a business because the one thing that I think that we miss, and I got to touch on this really quickly. The thing that I
Yeah.
think that we miss is we are very faithful people.
Hmm.
We are led by our faith. We are very led by faith, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? Um, but the problem that arises in there is if we put a little more time and effort into learning how to create and execute a plan, then it wouldn't have
Hmm.
to be we just have to believe. And I believe that somebody's going to come save me. I believe that somebody's going to make it better for me. I believe that this is going to change for me. No, in put that time, energy, and effort into yourself. If that's mental health, if that's creating the plan for your life, if that's executing the next thing, if that's putting the time into your personal health physically, putting that time back into yourself to learn how to create and execute a plan because your plan does not require belief, but your
Hmm.
belief requires a plan.
Ooh. Ooh.
You know what I'm
Ooh.
saying?
Yes.
So
Why do you think
if
that's
we
so
can start
controversial to
doing
say though?
that,
Because you think it would go without saying though, right? But like even before you said it, you were like, oh, you know what? This might rub people the wrong way, but we have to talk about it. Why do you think that is? Why do you
yeah,
feel that that is such a controversial thing to say? Why don't people say that?
because we have been taught that we cannot go against the belief systems that are created for us.
Mm,
So if you're doing
mm,
anything that goes against any belief system that was created for you, your faith in any way, then you're going against uh, um, God itself.
mm-hmm,
So we place so much energy in believing in being saved,
mm-hmm,
where we need to start doing some of the saving.
mm,
Like, what are we doing?
mm-hmm,
You know
mm-hmm,
what I mean? We can save our circumstances today,
mm-hmm.
but it's left up to us to do the work.
Right, right.
And even faithfully, you know, what is it? Faith without work is dead.
Mm-hmm,
So it's like, yes, you can believe until you're blue in the face, but what are you gonna do?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And that's where we miss.
Right. Ooh. Oh, oh man, that is the see, this is why I love having these conversations. This is exactly why I love having these conversations because like these are things that people are afraid to talk about and to acknowledge and to bring up and that's exactly what we mean by stigma, when we're just afraid to just talk about the
Yeah,
way that things should be. And I kind of want to shift to like the to I think this is a good point to kind of shift to the okay, what can we do about it phase, right? So to kind of
yes.
prep for that answer, can you just from your experience tell us what why is it important for black men to be vulnerable? Why is it important?
Ooh, okay. Well, I'm gonna do my best not to make this a long answer.
You're
Um,
fine, you're good.
so so we are hurting our families, right? We're taking all this crap out in the workforce and out in the world, and then we're coming home, and all we have to give is more anger and more pain and more frustration because we're not stopping to actually deal with the things that are happening to us. We're just going. We have to just keep going, just keep going, just keep at it, just keep going. And we don't stop to say, yo, but I don't feel good. Like I don't feel good. And it's not just physically, I'm not happy. I don't feel like smiling. I don't enjoy anything. I just use things to take me away from my reality. Drugs, sports, sex. I just use these things that take me away from my reality versus addressing the things that are really bothering me. And then we bring that home and we're hard on our kids and we're hard on our wives and we're hard on the people around us because we're not dealing with us. It's easier to point the finger away from you than in the mirror. And one thing that I tell my clients is one activity I try to get them to do is look in the mirror at yourself. Get out of the shower. Don't just hurry up and throw your clothes on and walk away. Look at yourself naked.
Mm,
Just look at you,
mhm.
and you'll start to see the pain. You'll see it physically. You'll see it emotionally. You'll see it mentally. You'll start to see it. But we don't look at ourselves in the mirror. You might look at yourself for a couple minutes while you brush your teeth. But it's like, okay, I might check myself when I'm done getting
Right.
dressed, but I'm not really looking and gazing into my own eyes,
It's like we
right?
actively avoid
But
it,
that's
right?
where
It's
you
like we
find the
actively
truth.
avoid doing that.
Actively.
Hmm.
Yes.
Hmm.
Consistently. We avoid ourselves because that's where the most pain is.
Mm.
All the hurt is in that mirror. It's there. So we avoid it because nobody likes that pain, right? But once you learn how to cope with that in the right way, then you learn how to deal with the things as they come and not have to deal with them after they're piled up.
Mm. So what can we do, right? So I know that, I mean, that the answer to that question, I mean, is longful because it depends on the person, the situation, and there's no one way to go about this. But just generally speaking, let's just say everybody here, everybody that's listening is like, okay, I'm on board. Tell me what to do. If you could give just like a general piece of advice to specifically Black men that want to take that step, what can they do right now?
Um, I would say start trying to find out what your purpose is.
Mm-hmm.
So I wrote an article. I write for this magazine, Polo Lifestyles magazine, um, and um, the one article I wrote, I think it was April's issue or June's issue, is what is your human being?
Mm-hmm.
What is your human being? And like when we talk to each other, we introduce ourselves by what we do. Oh, yo, my name is Goliath and I'm a life coach. Hey, my name is
Mm-hmm.
Kai and I do this. But it's like,
Mm-hmm.
what do you be? Right.
Mm-hmm.
And the closer we can get to our being and we can understand what our purpose theme is, not even just your purpose, but the theme of your purpose, then you can start executing your life in a way that validates you. This is what is
Mm-hmm.
working for me because this is what I'm here for. What is your human being?
Mm-hmm.
So if people can just start, I think if men can start turning that attention on themselves and saying, like, what do I feel like I'm here for? What
Right.
is my purpose? Like, what do I like? What wakes me up in the morning? And then
Mm-hmm.
start at least identifying with those things, then I think it can help to start changing your perspective. Because like my mom always
Mm-hmm.
told me, perception is reality. And if you
Mm-hmm.
believe you're the worst person on the world, or if you believe you're the best, you're right either way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You mentioned how over the last couple of years, obviously there's been a great awakening, not just for, Black men in mental health, but just mental health in general. Um,
Yeah.
we've come a long way, right? How optimistic or hopeful are you on October, what's today? 27th. On October 27th, 2022, Goliath. How hopeful or optimistic are you about where Black men and mental health go from here?
It's gonna do nothing but get better.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna do nothing but get better. Um, where we are now uh was not possible 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It just wasn't even in the realm of possibility.
Right.
So 10 years from now, it's just going to get better and it's going to continue to get better. And it may take some time and it may be difficult as it should. but it's going to continue to grow. It's going to continue to get better, and we're going to get stronger. And you know, when we get to this balance from the drive and understanding how to push ourselves with the balance of mental health and physical health and understanding ourselves and supporting our families, when we get to that balance, it's going to be a scary world. We're
Oh
going to be
man.
really doing our thing.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, Before I get into my final question here, I also I want to turn it over to you. I always say to people that I have on these lives, I want you to obviously be able to ask me anything that you want as well. So, my friend, the floor is yours. Do you have any questions for me?
I don't. We're having such a good conversation.
Let me off the hook. I love
Like
it.
you kind of answered some things. Yeah, that's right. You got to answer some things as we were progressing. So I
Yeah,
feel like I've learned about you
yeah,
and
man.
understand you better. So yeah, it's been great.
Dude, this kind of stuff needs to happen more often. And uh, my ultimate goal, honestly, is to uh, gather a bunch of Black creators and Black mental health professionals, both male and female, and everything in between, and like do like group settings of conversations like these, where we can get multiple perspectives at once and have these conversations that aren't that in a healthy way. Because I feel like sometimes I'm scrolling through the lives here on TikTok and I'll see a bunch of Black creators like talking about topics, but like I feel like it's not in a healthy way. And some of the topics are more pitting Black people
Yeah.
against other Black people. And I'm not gonna lie, it really annoys me seeing that go down. So
Yeah.
I kind of want to do the opposite there in that regard. So that's the ultimate goal. So my final question to
And
you is
you
this. Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
with it's that's a different thing for me. And
Mm-hmm.
the reason being is and and I guess I'm fortunate, or maybe it's just because I'm forcing these conversations, but
Yeah.
literally these are all the conversations I have. Like
Mm-hmm.
today I was in a meeting with like 10 Black professionals, and
Mm-hmm.
we're talking about the different things that we're doing to move business forward and move culture forward. And I'm literally inundated with these conversations. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's important for us as individuals to create these conversations and live in them. Like I live in this. Like this is all I talk about. Like I'm always talking about mental health
Mm-hmm.
and understanding in business and progression for Black people, especially Black men. That's like my plight. So, I think that we just have to be very intentional, because where you place your energy is where you place your attention, right?
Yeah.
So we have to be very intentional about having these type of conversations.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Man, I could not have said that better myself, man. It is such a pleasure. I'm so glad that this got to work out, not just because we're two Black creators, but I'm just as a fan of yours and seeing your growth here on this platform and seeing you do your thing. And like it is just it's a pleasure, honestly, to have this conversation with you specifically. And I promise you it's not going to be the last. Like we're gonna continue having these conversations. So you're gonna be back soon. I hope you know that you're stuck
I
with me.
appreciate it. Let's
If
go.
people want to find out more information about you, about the coaching service that you offer, where can they go?
They can go to link in my bio, and it has my link tree that has links to everything that I'm doing. Um, Also, if they just wanted to go straight to the website, that's www.goliathcoaches.com, to find out more information. But just kind of pay attention. There's a lot of things that are happening right now in my world that hopefully are going to change things
Mhm.
for a lot of people. And just stay tuned.
I love it. I love it. And for those of you that are listening, not in the live, maybe you're listening via podcast or listening via video after the fact. All of his information is going to be in the description as well, so you'll be able to just click on that, and you'll get taken straight there. And in addition to that, if you just joined us just now and you're like, wait a second, I wanted to watch this and I missed the whole thing, you'll be able to watch it. You can just go over to my Patreon. It's $1 a month. You'll get all of my videos live stream videos that I do here and on Instagram that I've done in the past, and all the ones I do in the future. $1 a month. That's it. And I have a bunch of them coming up. And but this one, man, it's such a pleasure. Honestly, thank you so much for sitting with me, man. I really do appreciate it.
I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I'll see you again soon. To everybody else, thank you so much for sitting and watching with me today. I appreciate you all more than you could ever know. As always, my friends, much love, good vibes, and I'll see y'all later. I'll see you. Bye.